Hi, I'm Annie Weisbrod. I'm one of the yoga teachers here with the Shine Yoga Teachers Collective. And I'm also a PhD toxicologist who runs a large mind wellness program for a Fortune 100 company as part of my job. And what I'd like to do is talk to you today about stress and resiliency. And the key point here is that the World Health Organization has identified unresolved stress or chronic stress as a global epidemic. And that's been known for several years now, and I think a lot of us in our cultures, wherever we are from, are very familiar with the demands of society, and that a lot of us do feel stressed on a regular basis. Stress is actually the #1 top lifestyle risk factor as a cause, or it exacerbates chronic illnesses, and this exceeds the effects of lack of physical activity and obesity. That is how serious chronic stress is in our cultures today. So what I'd like to do is talk about not just the source of stress, but what can we do about it? What are those healthy habits? What are things that we can do to become more resilient, more healthy? So I'm going to start off with, a lot of you have seen this either in your high school psychology class or college psychology classes, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This was developed in the 1940s. There's multiple other systems. This is just an easy one to help explain and break down how this organism functions as it relates to what our needs are. So in this hierarchy, there's 4 fundamental needs, and the concept is that these needs need to be met mostly for us to be self-actualized, to really be agile, feel empowered, be creative, have great wisdom and insight. But we got to work on these lower levels first, or a lot, to be able to get up to this higher self-actualization. So this bottom level is physiological. And you can see here that the physiological level, sleep, breathing, food, water, excretion, procreation, all fit into those physiological needs that we have to stay alive. This level is about survival. The second level is about really security. How do we feel secure? How do we feel safe? Whether it's shelter for the body, does our mind, are we able to think and express ourselves freely, and in our hearts? That's related to this third level of belonging to a community, to feel loved, to be loved, and feel that for others. And the top level is about esteem, our self-esteem. How do we feel about ourselves, respect and care for ourselves as well as for others? So across these 4 levels, what we're going to focus on today for the resiliency habits are these bottom 2 levels. Before I move on, I'd like to also mention, for some of you maybe working in this area as well, is this absolute integration that we have between physical, mental, emotional, and intuitive systems of the body. And this is just one of the ways to reflect that. So moving over here, here's the 2 kind of areas that I'd like to talk about today for the resiliency habits. And as we talk about, for all habits, it requires practice. It's not something that you snap your fingers and do, or that you just try once. It's something that becomes part of your daily and weekly routines. So at the physiological level, there's some very important aspects here. All of this information, by the way, is science-based and comes from organizations like the U.S. Center for Disease Control, World Health Organization, U.S. National Academy of Sciences, and other science-based groups like this. So #1 is sleep. When I'm giving these workshops to people for the corporation that I work with, this is a very common question. A lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans, Asians are not getting enough sleep. We do need to be sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. We are a human. We are of the species that needs about 8 hours a night. My joke is that you're not a pilot whale, that pilot whales only need 6 hours of sleep a night. And there are other creatures, mammals, birds, etc., and they all require different amounts of sleep. But us as humans, we need about 7 to 9 hours in general. A great website that you can go to and look up more information is the Sleep Foundation. So I can recommend that as a place to learn more. The next one is breathing. We've talked quite a lot in the sessions that I've done about the importance of deep breathing and breathing from your diaphragm to use the full capacity of your lungs. So practicing deep diaphragmatic breathing. The third one is related to nutrition and hydration. So I included a few references here. MyPlate.gov is from the US Health and Human Services Department. They have nutrition experts, scientists, epidemiologists who have been studying this for their lifetimes and have advanced degrees. Thousands of people really do study this, not just someone trying to make a buck online. So be careful what you look up online. Hydration is another important one as well, making sure that we get enough fluids into the body. So men and women may need slightly different amounts. It also depends on your body size, but in general, we should be getting 2 to 3 liters of water a day in fluids. And that can come in through something you drink, like or an herbal tea or water itself, but it can also come in through soup or yogurt or a fruit or something else that naturally has water in it. The next area is movement. We do need to be moving. So there's multiple studies that identify that we do want to stand up and move around every hour for about 5 minutes every 1 hour, or for 10 minutes every 2 hours. It does not work to stand up and move around for 15 minutes every 3. It really does need to be on that 1 or 2 hour basis to stand up, stop sitting, move around, stretch, get some water, go to the bathroom, snuggle your pet or your child, and but move around a little bit. The next aspect of movement is that we do want to be getting 5 hours of some form of exercise, moderate or vigorous, every week. Some people have talked with me about on the US Center for Disease Control website, it can be a little confusing. It talks about maybe only 2.5 or 3 hours a week, and that is for physical function. That is the baseline. If you'd like to be healthy, more than just functional, you want to try to get 5 hours of exercise a week. The next one is actually related to meditation. And a lot of people I know are new to meditation, but I highly recommend this as something that's important physiologically for us to be doing, is to sit still and silently. There's 3 types of meditations that are common. There's hundreds of kinds, but they fall into several groupings. And I'd like to suggest that you look up these 3. So one of them is called focused attention meditation. And we're focusing on one object, focusing on your breath, focusing on counting, focusing on your heartbeat. So you have some focus, a mantra. The next one is called open awareness, where you're just aware of what's going on and whatever it is that you're noticing passing through without getting attached to whatever that story is or the subject. And then this last one is reflection or inquiry, where we ask a question to ourselves and explore that in great detail. Sometimes you can exhaust the mind and all of its thinking and finally just rests and it goes, I don't know. And then some nice breakthroughs can happen. Very helpful, all 3 of these forms of meditation. What I have here written is MAP, M-A-P, mental and physical training. You can look that up as well, mental and physical training, or MAP. And there have been numerous studies identifying that if you move 30 minutes every day, some form of aerobic exercise, and 30 minutes of meditation, which can include walking meditation, other forms of prayer or chanting, but usually it's focused attention meditation. But for 30 minutes of movement, 30 minutes of meditation every day for 8 weeks will bring about a 40% decline in rumination and other symptoms of anxiety or depression. And this works for the control group as well as for people who have been clinically diagnosed. So this is a really wonderful practice just for an hour each day. This next area I'm going to talk about is security. What are some things we can do in terms of resiliency habits to make us feel more secure? So as we've talked about already, some of the things that help us feel more secure is simply that deep, full breath, chanting, and this longer exhale does help us feel more secure because it stimulates the vagus nerve and basically turns on the parasympathetic nervous system of the body that allows us to feel rest, sleep, relaxation, digestion. What I'm going to focus on here is an introspection element. So in your meditation, you can take up a practice called Nikon. It's written here. It's Japanese for reflection or introspection, and there's 3 questions. So we would sit for 15 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, whatever you choose, but you're going to use one case and choose a situation or a relationship, and you only focus and think about that one case. And you ask yourself these 3 questions. First, what gifts or benefits have I been given by the situation? So today, if we take the COVID-19 situation, I know I'm having to work from home, quite a few others are as well. And if I think about that, it is a little frustrating to have to redesign my home, close doors. I have friends with pets and children that come in while they're trying to work. And this has caused some troubles or difficulties in their usual life, but there are also wonderful benefits to this situation. People don't have the commute time, they're able to exercise more, they're spending more good, positive time with their families. So there are absolutely gifts and benefits that I have been given through this situation. The second one is, what gifts or benefits have I given to the situation? How am I contributing in a positive way to the situation? The third question is, what difficulties have I caused? And this is about our awareness and our acknowledgement of how we are behaving and how we're feeling about a situation and things that we could do better and how could we improve in the future related to the situation so that it can be more balanced. The point of this sort of an exercise of the Nikon reflection series of questions is to balance our thinking. That as we feel more stressed, the mind tends to dominate on the fourth question that is not written here, which is, what are the troubles or difficulties have I been caused? And the anguish that we suffer because of that. The mind ends up focusing, and this becomes the dominant thought process without the balance of the whole picture of what's going on. And that's why these three questions are so important. It's not about making positive light of a difficult situation. It's about balancing our thinking so that we can get out of the mind's stimulus of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, freeze responses of the body that drive us into those conditions of stress, anxiety, and panic. How to take ourselves out of that to feel more secure, to understand that there is a wider picture of what's going on here. And again, these three questions will help us do that. So thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.